Okay, we're going to be talking about to-dos number 3 right now. Now, this is kind of a basic game structure we talked about. The game panel is going to be, like the way it's doing its job is that every time through the game loop, which is this, it updates all the objects. So all the objects have to have an update method that can be called by the game panel class. That's just kind of how we've decided to structure this game, or I have. And so in the game panel's update method, you can see it updates the paddle every time. Well, once you have a working ball object, it's going to update the ball based on how things change over time. And so we have to create that method here. So we're told that we should write the public update method. We're told it doesn't have any parameters. We're told its return type is void. We're told it should do two things. It should update the position based on the velocity, and it should check for wall collisions and flip the value of the x and y velocities appropriately. Alright, so let's start with the first stuff that we know. We know it's a public method, which means that any other classes can use it. And we're told that it has no return type, or a return type of void, and that it should be called update, and that it doesn't take any parameters, so just open and close parentheses. Now hit an open brace and hit return. Give yourself a little room to work then. So if you think about a ball going around the screen, and you've done this in the past with the intro to graphics thing, the x and y position should be updated based on the velocity every time. So if you think about the x position, it should increase, or it should add to itself whatever the x velocity is every time through the loop. So every time it changes in our program, it'll change by, if they use the generic constructors, number of 2 pixels every time through the loop. It'll move over to the right at the start 2 pixels to the loop. 2 pixels every time through the loop. And the same with the y velocity. We need to add to the y velocity, or to the y position, the y velocity every time through the loop. And then we need to do this wall check thing. So how do you check for walls? Well, the walls are defined by, if we think about a pop-up window, the 0 is over on the left, and then there's some width over here. And in our game, the width is going to be defined by the game window, actually. There are these values that you can reference. So the width value, you can just, because this is a public variable, you can just write gamewindow.width. And this is maybe something that's not super familiar to you, so I'll do one of them, and then you can do the other. I'll do the horizontal check, so the checks for x. Alright, so we're going to do an if check. If x is less than 0, we want to, so that means that it's hit the left wall, we want to flip the value of y velocity, so it moves in the other direction. Y velocity equals negative, or I'm sorry, x velocity, negative x velocity. And we need to check for the right-hand wall also. So if x is greater than game window dot width minus size, minus the size of the ball, that means it has hit the right-hand side, and so we also want to flip the value of the x velocity. Now I'll leave it to you to do something similar, very similar, to the y velocity to make the update method run correctly.